I will now call to order the Wytheville Town Council meeting Monday, August 12th, 2024 at 5 p.m. being held in the municipal building at 150 East Monroe Street in Wytheville. We do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Holly Atkins.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order is to approval of the agenda this evening. I will need a motion. I have a motion to approval of the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, this will be a roll call vote. And we'll start with you, Vice Mayor.
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye. Johnson, aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. Just FYI, we can schedule a recess at 6 p.m. if necessary. Next is the consent agenda, which is a motion to accept the previous minutes. We have them here set together, but we're going to do them separate because we've had one person out on one and one person out on the other. So I will need a motion for the minutes for the special meeting of July 15th, 2024. I have a motion.
I so move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and second. Is there any discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Next was the meeting of the July 22nd, 2024, which we'll need a motion. Motion. Do I have a second?
I'm going to abstain because due to my absence, so I'm not going to second it.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is a presentation by Town Council, but I do not see that recipient here in the room. Is he here anywhere? You see him, Brian? All right. We will skip over that at this time. Next is to consider adopting a resolution honoring the life of Mr. John M. Johnson and presentation of resolution to the Johnson family. Before we do that, we will need an adoption of the resolution. And so I would need a motion.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that motion is passed. And now we'll have the presentation of a resolution given to the family by Councilwoman Candace.
I would like to invite the family, John.
No hiding in the back.
On behalf of the Wytheville Town Council, we would like to welcome you to receive the resolution for Mr. John M. Johnson. Resolution, whereas Mr. John M. Johnson was born on May the 16th, 1938, to the late Reese Boyd Johnson Sr. and Ida Dean Johnson, and whereas Mr. Johnson was a retired first sergeant from the United States Army and the National Guard, and he was also a photographer for the 24th Infantry Division, and many on social media enjoyed his historic images that he posted from his photograph collection. And whereas Mr. Johnson was an extremely knowledgeable local historian who was well known for his interest in the Civil War and was especially interested in locating and documenting Wythe County's black cemeteries and finding the burial places of African American citizens. And whereas Mr. Johnson was a published author of many articles and books about the Civil War, and his most recent book, entitled A Death Mob Gathered, documented the Wythe County lynching of Raymond Arthur Byrd. And whereas Mr. Johnson was a valuable community leader and volunteer, and he held an office on the board of the Wytheville Training School and Cultural Center, and was named the 2019 Citizen of the Year by the Wytheville with Bland Chamber of Commerce. And whereas Mr. Johnson was an esteemed musician, and he was known for playing beautiful tunes on the saxophone. And whereas Mr. Johnson was a dedicated, gifted, and amazing citizen of the town of Wytheville, and he will be deeply missed by his family, friends, and the entire community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the town of Wytheville, Virginia, officially recognizes the innumerable contributions made by Mr. John M. Johnson to the town and extends its sincere sympathy to his family and everyone who loved him. Adopted this 12th day of August 2024, Beth Taylor, Mayor, and Sharon G. Corbin, CMC Clerk of Council. I present this resolution. Thank you.
Y'all welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave. You're more than welcome. Good to see y'all. He's not here. Right. I'm going to go forward with our agenda. The next is a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Code of the Town of Wytheville, Virginia, Part 1, Chapter Section 2, Council generally regarding the handling of vacancies for the governing body. We will have a staff report by Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. The handout I just gave you reflects the current code relative to the filling of vacancies on the council. I provided that to you because in your packet there is a copy of the proposed language, which is what is now required by the Code of Virginia effective July 1. So this is basically a statutory requirement that we update our code to reflect the changes by the General Assembly. And I'll very quickly read to you the two differences. There's really one difference, but there's a current and a proposed. The current code that I just handed out to you says that vacancies in the office of mayor or on council shall be filled by a majority vote of the remaining members, and the person so elected shall serve the remainder of the unexpired term. And in your packet, you'll see on page 28, the same paragraph, which is the second paragraph of section 2, now reads, vacancies in the office of mayor or on council shall be filled by the majority vote of the remaining members, and the person so elected shall serve for the remainder of the unexpired term, which is pretty much verbatim what it said. But then it says, of the elected person, and shall exercise all powers of the elected office. It goes on to say, at least 7 days prior to making such an interim appointment, Town Council shall hold a public meeting in accordance with subsection 2.2-3707, which is of the Code of Virginia, at which the council shall announce the names of all persons being proposed for the interim appointment and shall make available for inspection each person's resume and any other materials required by the town council. If the majority of the remaining members of the town council cannot agree or do not act, the judges of the Circuit Court of Wythe County may make the appointment. So there's your distinction. You have any questions about that? I'm
Any
happy to
questions
answer.
for Mr. Freeman?
And I want to thank Sherry for putting this together for us and noting that the changes were coming about.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Golden.
All right, so we will now open this public hearing to receive comments regarding an amendment to the code of the town of Wytheville, Virginia, Part 1, Chapter Section 2, Council generally regarding the handling of vacancies for the governing body. Is there anybody here in the room that is here to speak to that public hearing? All right, so we will now close this public hearing, and I'll ask council to consider to adopt the ordinance number 1439, an ordinance amending and reenacting Part 1, Chapter Section 2, Council generally of the Code of the Town of Wytheville, Virginia, on first and final reading. I need a motion.
I move that we adopt ordinance 1439 on first and final reading.
Motion. I have a second. I need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Right here, none. It's a roll call vote. We'll start with Councilwoman Johnson, please.
Johnson, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Edison,
Right. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is to consider authorizing the town staff to apply for Virginia Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission Energy Ingenuity Funds, and we'll have a staff presentation by Elaine Holton.
Good evening. So Ron, are you able to pull up the PowerPoint, please? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so each of the council members should have a packet at your station with a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. It is also on the screen. Essentially, my goal for this evening is to make you aware of this new funding source and to explore the idea of applying for 4 different grants as it relates to this funding. So essentially, the Energy Ingenuity Fund is a new grant launched by the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission. Essentially, they have $12 million available, $6 million for Southern Virginia and $6 million for Southwestern Virginia. And eligible entities are governments and nonprofits in the tobacco region. The grant match for this program is 1-to-1. So essentially, if we were to move forward, we would potentially allocate the entire project cost in the budget. And then after we do the construction or whatever type of project it is, we would request reimbursement of half of that. So that's how that funding works. Okay. So if you're not familiar with the Tobacco Commission footprint, essentially the 2 brown areas are the Tobacco Commission counties and towns and cities. And again, $6 million would go towards the dark brown and $6 million would go towards the light brown. The time frame for the grant application is the applications for this round are due August the 15th. If we decide we need more time, we can also consider applying for the January round, and we'll go over that in a little bit further in the presentation. If we apply for August, the award would occur in November. The good news is with this timing is we don't have to talk about fund allocation at this point in time. We could wait and see if we are awarded the grant. And then if we are awarded the grant, then we can talk about whether we want to proceed and actually allocate the matching funds. Essentially after that, if we did want to proceed, we would sign the grant agreement, and then effective July 1 of 2025 is when we would do the work. For all of the projects, we would most likely do an RFP. And after that, we would then award the contract, complete the work, and we have 3 years to complete the project. So that's the time frame. So let's talk about why we are talking about energy and why we're doing this at this time. Essentially, if you're looking at the trends across the United States, there's a great deal of high energy demand. A lot of this is driven by data centers and AI technology. Inflation, volatile fuel costs, regulatory environment, all of those things are increasing the cost of the utilities to provide electricity. And as a result, this is passed on to us, the customers. And so we can say that utility rates will most likely continue to rise for the foreseeable future. So how do we combat that? Some of the tools we have are energy efficiency, local energy production, renewable energy. This is also a great time to talk about resiliency and energy storage. And also the timing is right because there's a great deal of money that is available to localities through federal and state grants. And this time period for these grants is in the next 3 to 5 years. So let's look a little bit at our energy cost. And I pulled this from our new software. We were able to track spending by vendor. And where APCO is our power provider, I pulled this data. In fiscal year 2021, we spent $260,000 on electricity. And you will see in fiscal year 21-22, our electrical costs went up $75,000. From fiscal year 22 to 23, it went up $375,000 in 1 year. And then with the data that I had from fiscal year 23-24, we were already exceeding the 22-23 numbers, and there were still 3 months left to report. Obviously, when we get the numbers for this fiscal year, we can also capture that. One of our largest users in town is the sewer plant and our 16 pump stations. In fiscal year 23-24, we spent $328,959,000 in electricity just to process the treatment of sewer in the town of Wytheville. So you can see where if we start to talk about energy and saving energy over time, this will effectively alleviate the burden on the taxpayers and assist the town with not having to raise rates and taxes and things of that nature. So if we dial down into the water and sewer utilities and the energy costs, this is essentially by function. You'll see the budgets that you would typically see on your line items there: wastewater treatment plant, the wastewater system, sewer pump stations. Also the water plant and water pump stations are listed. And at the very bottom, if you look at the yellow, there again reflects the trend that electrical, and this one also includes heating costs, are going up each year. So let's talk about the grant proposals that I'm bringing before you tonight. And I just want to give a shout out to Charlie Jones of downtown Wytheville, who's with us here this evening. So what was very sort of funny, I guess, is I saw this grant come across my desk, and I called up Charlie because Charlie had also been looking at energy and energy efficiency projects for downtown Wytheville. And for those of you who may not know, downtown Wytheville is currently administering a grant through the Main Street program to help businesses downtown with some of their energy efficiency and renewable energy needs. So just want to applaud Charlie for that work, and it's been a lot of fun working with him on this project. So the first grant proposal is to do an energy plan for the town of Wytheville. And essentially what the energy plan would do is it would look at all of the 51 facilities that the town has. So if you think about that number, that includes every building, every pump station, some of our major plants, and we have 51 of those. Believe it or not, a lot of that's just small shelters and our parks, those sorts of things. It would look at the entire town, and we would identify the best projects for reducing energy use and try to put that into a plan. The reason why a plan is important is because then when you decide to go for more grant funds, if you've already got a plan ready, then you've positioned yourself to get additional grant funds. And that's one of the primary reasons. A secondary benefit of that would be that as we're doing our capital improvement planning, we could try to coordinate some of these energy reduction strategies with replacements of things like heat pumps and lightings and roofs and insulation and things of that nature. So if the town council's in agreement tonight, what staff would recommend is that we pursue this grant. Essentially, it would be a $100,000 project, and 50% of that would be paid through the grant. So our actual capital outlay for the project would be $50,000. So are there any questions so far? Okay, then we'll just keep going, and I'll go over some of the other ideas that we had. The other project that we're thinking about applying for is to actually get the electric vehicle charging space that has been identified for Main Street constructed this year. This has been on the plans for downtown since you did the downtown revitalization, and we have identified the total project cost at around $30,000. So again, if we were to get this grant, half of it would be paid through the grant, and we would be responsible for the matching $15,000.
Who would be responsible for the 15?
The town. Yeah, so it's 50-50. The total project cost is $30,000, and so we would be responsible for the other half of that. Should we decide to pursue this?
So downtown Wytheville would not pay any portion.
So one idea that I had was that we could potentially the town council would allocate the funds, and we could potentially put that in the downtown Wytheville budget and let downtown Wytheville help us install the electric charging station if we want, since it is within the downtown Wytheville footprint. We do not have to do it that way. We could also put it in one of our line items if we choose to do it that way. So we have options on how we administer the grant. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Ma'am. So we
All right.
have choices.
Yes, absolutely. And, just speaking with Charlie about that idea, I guess I would like to say that there does seem to be some sentiment of a need for electric vehicle charging downtown, as we're seeing more and more electric vehicle drivers and folks from out of town who want to explore the downtown and charge their cars while they're shopping and eating and going to the mill wall. Okay, next slide. Grant Proposal 3 is one that I'm probably the most excited about. This is at the wastewater plant. Tony Keene and the folks at Public Utilities have identified that we have blowers up there that are at the end of their expected service life. The repairs are becoming more frequent and costly, and essentially we have 3 blowers that were installed in 2003. The blowers themselves, what they do is they provide air to the grit chamber at the headworks, the 4 aeration tanks, and the post-aeration tank at the plant effluent. And the blower is extremely essential to plant operations. Regardless of the grant application, we will need to anticipate replacing the blowers in the next 3 to 5 years. Believe it or not, the blowers use a tremendous amount of electricity. While the overall sewer plant uses about $260,000 worth of electricity a year, the blowers use approximately 60% of the energy that goes through the sewer plant. And the type of blowers that we are looking at is a variable speed rotary screw blower, which would replace the existing centrifugal blowers. And essentially that replacement with a different type of blower has the potential to save money over time with energy efficiency. And one of the initial reports that I have is about $50,000 a year in energy savings if we were to replace the blowers. So that grant request, the total project cost is $1.2 million, and the grant request would be for $600,000. The last project is a little bit more pie in the sky, and what I would suggest is that we wait and apply for this one in the January round, but because I was coming before you today, I thought I would just lump it in here. Essentially, if you look at the aerial image of the sewer treatment plant, you will see we have quite a bit of green space. We would like to look into the idea a little bit further of installing some solar photovoltaics at the sewer plant. We have reached out initially to one solar company who said that the total project cost is estimated again at $1.2 million, which would be a $600,000 grant request. We could explore two different ways for the town's match on this project. One would be through a power purchase agreement with a solar installation company. The other idea would be to potentially get a loan to cover our share of it. And the goal would be to install a 400 kilowatt solar photovoltaic system to offset about a quarter of the power use at the sewer treatment plant. So those are the four projects that we're thinking about. And essentially what I would ask from town council tonight is your blessing to apply for the grants. Again, you would not need to make a decision on an appropriation of funds. We would consider that later in the year if we are awarded. Are there any questions?
More questions for Ms. Holton?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. At this point, have consideration by town council to authorize town staff to apply for the Virginia Tobacco Regional Revitalization Commission energy funds. I need a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hear none. This will be a roll call vote. We'll start with the Vice Mayor.
Edison, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye. Johnson, aye.
That motion goes. Next is on the agenda is to schedule a public hearing for the September 9th, 2024 Town Council meeting to consider approving a budget appropriation in the amount of $64,500 to replace the arm of a clarifier number 4 at the wastewater treatment plant and to add a $50,000 revenue line item for a Southeast Rural Community Assistance Project, the SERCAP grant for the same clarifier. We have another report from staff, Ms. Holton.
Okay, so at the last meeting, you will recall that we were contemplating submitting a grant request to SERCAP in the amount of $50,000 to assist with the cost of replacing the clarifier arm. And I just want to thank you for your support of that grant request. We were awarded the grant. And so what we need to do now is schedule the public hearing so that we can appropriate the funds. The total project cost to do the clarifier arm project is $64,500. So we would need to appropriate $64,500 into the sewer plant fund. We would then replace the clarifier arm. We would request reimbursement from SERCAP in the amount of $50,000. And the total net cost to the town would be $14,500. So at tonight's meeting, what we need for you to do is to schedule the public hearing. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
So I'd like some consideration by town council to schedule a public hearing at the September 9th, 2024 town council meeting to approve a budget appropriation in the amount of $64,500 to replace the arm and clarifier number 4 at the wastewater treatment plant and to add a $50,000 revenue line item for the SERCAP grant for the same clarifier. I will need a motion.
I move that we schedule a public hearing for September the 9th.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye as well. Any opposed? All right, so that passes. Next on the agenda is to consider a budget appropriation for an employee appreciation dinner. And I do believe that Assistant Town Manager, Ms. Holton, is on again.
All right, so this is a new item for your consideration, and thank you for your time tonight in considering this. I would also like to just give a shout out and a welcome to Rebecca Counts. Rebecca's waving. Rebecca is our human resources assistant, and she's done a tremendous job in assisting us while we're looking for our next human resources director. And Rebecca may have some things to add. So Rebecca, you just chime in if I miss anything. So essentially, from what I understand, pre-COVID, the town used to do service awards where you would give awards to employees when they had met certain milestones. And of course, COVID happened and we stopped gathering like we used to. And so they sort of fell off the wayside. And Human Resources has encouraged us, in addition to Town Manager Freeman, to begin that process again of putting all the employees together once a year and celebrating and recognizing them, and especially the ones that have lengths of service to the town. So each of you should have a one-page sheet in front of you. I apologize, I did not get this in your packet, but if you don't have it, just raise your hand and I'll give you a copy. These are some ideas that Rebecca and I put together. This is not a final draft of what should happen, but I guess the key things to say are that the date that we are proposing is Thursday, November the 21st, and we are proposing that the event be from 5:30 to 7 with dinner at 6 p.m. The location would be the Wytheville Meeting Center. If you agree with this request, essentially we would send out the invites to employees in September and ask that they RSVP. You'll see some other details listed there. Again, all of that is subject to change. If you look at the very bottom of the page, you'll see the tentative event agenda. We want to make this a fun time, so we proposed perhaps doing some raffle ticket callings and handing out prizes. Another idea that is proposed is the potential for like an ugly sweater contest or something like that. And then at the very bottom, you will see that the total budget request to do this gathering is estimated at $12,000. So what we are asking from Town Council tonight, and you do not have to decide tonight if you want more conversation, but what we are asking is that you consider reinstating the employee appreciation event, and you would need to do a budget appropriation for $12,000 to make it happen sometime this fall. So if you have any questions, I can answer them tonight. If you would like to entertain a motion, you can do that. If you would prefer to wait and bring up the item again, we can do that as well. So
I do have a question. I don't recall seeing this come before Budget and Finance. It didn't? Okay.
And I do have a question for doing appropriating funds that the council has to approve. Is there a certain limit? Like, is it 4,000, 5,000, or?
It's 1% of the total of the fund. So technically speaking, this is not 1%, but because it's an item that you all had not discussed previously passing the budget, it was advisable that you all hear more about it before we decide.
Will the recreation center be closed so that those employees will be able to attend?
I don't, Elaine, you want to answer that? Or I can't. I don't think so. I think what she's got on here is that we would prepare box dinners for any employees who were on the clock at the time. For the PD, fire and EMS, water, sewer treatment plants, those, we would prepare a box dinner for those that might not be able to totally shut down. But we could potentially, we could look at that.
This is great. If I can add to with your question, mostly the box dinners, I was thinking like fire, rescue, water, and wastewater, because they can't leave their post. If they could stop by and come by, that would be best. But if they can't, we would get a count for who's working. But for the rec center and the meeting center employees that are there, I was going to try to work with supervisors to see if they could cover, like when I worked out at the meeting center, we did that. Rosa or Dina or Charles Wood, who's a supervisor, we would take like a 20-minute, do it in shifts to be able to take a minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
for the supervisors to cover for their employees if they're not going to close.
Yes. And they're on site too, so they won't have to travel. They could do that easily. So
You
I'll
said-
interrupt there.
Right. And also, I know the fire department, they do leave the department, so they should be able to come and attend. Same with the police department. They should be able to attend, and in the event that they get a call, they should be able to be dispatched from that location. Is that correct, sir? All right, cool. Thank you.
I have a question. Presently, each department has a time where they do a dinner for their department. Is this going to replace that? And if so, that might make it a little easier on the heartburn for any additional monies.
I
But
think
I
it
don't,
should. I do think it should.
I mean, I think that's a fabulous suggestion because, now what they typically do is each department will spend a certain amount of dollars to do a little luncheon within their respective department. But there's value in bringing all of the employees together and also for you as council members to be able to interact with all of the employees in one setting. That would also give us the opportunity to do these service awards and things where you want to recognize individuals in front of the group. So I think that would be advisable, the recommendation to do away with the department level dinners.
does anybody know off the top of their head what that's in the budget for?
$637.20.
Nah,
It's $12 per employee.
it's basically $12 per employee.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other questions for Elaine?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'll have council consideration by town council to approve a budget appropriation for the employee appreciation dinner. And with the idea that the others might go away. So what we just talked about. Anyway, do we have a motion?
I move. I think that's a great idea.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Right here, none. That would be a roll call vote. We'll start with Councilwoman Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Patterson, aye.
All right, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next is a consider the request of Fire Chief Chris Klemp for traffic control on Saturday, October 12th, 2024 for the annual fire prevention parade. And I think we're all familiar with that, but Ms. Holton can tell us a little bit about it. Council has any questions? Elaine? If not, I would need a motion.
I do have a question. What type of barriers will be used, like to block off with traffic during this event?
So this is a rolling street closure, which typically means they use movable barriers like other vehicles. Is that correct, Chief Hash? Yeah.
They're not like the orange and white ones filled with water. Those won't be used.
No.
Just wondering. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other concerns, questions from council? All right, do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we consider the request of Fire Chief Chris Klemp for traffic control on Saturday, October the 12th, 2024 for the annual fire prevention parade.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. And that passes. Next on the agenda is consider scheduling a work session for August 26, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. to hold a meet and greet session or making an appointment to the Wytheville Redevelopment and Housing Authority to fill the expiring terms of Miss Sharon Alexander. I think we did have an application in our packet. So it's up to councils whether or not they want to have a meet and greet. And I know the particular person, and I'm okay, but that doesn't mean everybody knows.
I know
The candidate.
Mr. Fox as well. I'm okay with that.
Same here.
All right. All right, so I would need a for council to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion, but can we change the time to 4:40 instead of 4:30?
Okay, so are we going to have one, or is everybody okay and we just want to vote tonight?
We can vote tonight.
I think that's what they were saying.
Okay, that's cool. That too.
Okay.
So we're going to cancel the 4:30. We're going to vote tonight.
All right, so once again, I need a motion.
So moved.
All right, thank you again. Second,
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Not hearing no discussion. All in favor? Is that?
Is it a roll
Signify by
call
saying
vote?
aye. I don't know if it's a roll call vote.
Johnson, aye.
No, it doesn't. So, all right, and aye. So that's unanimous. And so congratulations to Mr. Fox. We really appreciate your interest and you want to serve on the committee. Next on our agenda is to consider the following reappointments to the New River Regional Water Authority. First one is Town Manager Brian Freeman for a 4-year term expiring June 30th, 2028. The second one is for Vice Mayor Kathy Patterson for a 2-year term expiring June 30th, 2026. We do have another council person on that authority, but which is Ms. Johnson, but she's not up for reappointment. So.
Mayor Taylor, I think this is fairly self-explanatory to everyone, but for the benefit of those who may watch the video later or be with us tonight, it is customarily, or in fact, probably perhaps part of the bylaws, that Carroll County, Wythe County, and Wytheville appoint their respective chief executive or the town manager or the county administrators, respectively, and then they each appoint members of the council to represent the town, their respective localities in that capacity as well. So it's this is the way it's been since the inception of the authority.
Mm-hmm. Any questions for Mr. Freeman? I hear none. With a consideration to make the following reappointments to the New River Water Authority. Town Manager Brian Freeman for a 4-year term expiring June 30th, 2028, and Vice Mayor Kathy Patterson for a 2-year term expiring June 30th, 2026. I need a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All right, here none. Be a roll call vote. We'll start with Vice Mayor.
Patterson, aye.
All right.
Atkins, aye. Johnson, aye.
All right. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next is presentations to Town Council. The first one will be a presentation by representatives of the Community Cats Rescue Network, CCRN, regarding their trap, neuter, and release TNR efforts in the town of Wytheville, and a discussion regarding animal welfare. Welcome. Thank you very much. You'll please state your name. And
I'm Donna Winans, and I'd like to recognize Deborah Klein and Laura Atwell. We are all part of the rescue group, Community Cats Rescue Network, and we refer to it as CCRN. We do a lot of TNR, and you should have the packet, and I'm just going to kind of briefly go over it, and if you want to interrupt me, or if you have a question, or if you want to wait till the end, then I can have our ladies help me as well. What is Community Cats Rescue Network? We are a very small, all volunteer-based 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting the humane treatment and control of feral and stray cats in Wytheville and surrounding areas. We were formed in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Me and a friend of mine and a couple other ladies came together and formed it in 2016. I moved down here in 2017, and then I was kind of going in retirement. However, I saw there was a great need here for the services. So I was lucky enough to meet Laura first, and then I met Deborah. And that's just to give you a little bit of the history, and here we are today. Our mission, so we expanded to this area. Our mission is to improve the lives of the feral and homeless cats by humanely stopping their breeding cycle through trap, neuter, and return, TNR. Our vision is through collaboration and networking with other cat advocacy groups to create a community where no kittens are born unclaimed on the streets, where no cat capable of living inside a home is lacking one, and where no feral cats go wanting for food, water, appropriate care, or support. What is TNR and how does it work? TNR is a program where feral cats are humanely trapped, spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and returned to their original location to be for continued oversight by their caregivers. Cats in the TNR program are automatically, their left ear is tipped. And this is a universal signal that that cat has been spayed or neutered and vaccinated. TNR is the only proven program to be effective, humane, and long-term in controlling feral and stray cats in the population. What does CCRN do for the community? We collaborate with low-cost spay-neuter clinics to provide affordable sterilization, vaccinations of feral, stray, and pet cats. We offer the use of our traps. We show them how to properly use the traps. And if they need help with transportation, we provide transports to and from the clinics. And we also overnight them at one of our facilities.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How far are your clinics?
Well,
How far do y'all travel for your
one of
clinics?
them is in Bristol, and the other one, that is Martha Mitchell. And then Mountain View Humane, which is in Christiansburg. Christiansburg. So we do, some of them are fairly, 30 minutes to an hour.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We provide a voice and support for the community cats, their caregivers, to bring awareness to their beneficial roles in our society. We also educate the general public about the plight of the feral and stray cats and the importance of spaying and neuter. I can't say that enough. It is so very important to spay and neuter the cats. We promote that our belief that cats deserve a place in our society and one in which their lives are respected and safeguarded. We promote support for caregiver-based solutions regarding community cats. We network extensively with other reputable rescue groups like Wytheville Animal Welfare League, Lost Fantasy, and Animal Hope Alliance. That's the ones that are in these nearby areas to help, in some cases, to get them spayed or neutered, to provide fosters, or to put them up for adoption. Because we're not geared for cat adoptions, but it's hard to leave little kittens out of sight when you're trapping. So we do come across that quite often. And also, we also take friendly cats and from TNR colonies and also the Wytheville Animal Shelter to get them adopted. So on.
Is that the town animal shelter?
Yes, it is, the town cat shelter. Okay, how many feral and stray cats are there? Some estimates note that there may be as many cats living outdoors as there are pet cats, and that's around 82 million feral and stray cats. That is a large number. 2 unspayed females can result in over 12,288 new community cats within 5 years, and so on. This is why spaying and neuter is extremely urgent and important. The life of a cat outside, that's born outside, that's feral, and has kittens, their life is a very short span. And it's not an easy life either. It's, trying to find food, feed their little ones. It is a very short life, especially for the kittens. They're born, they get, conjunctivitis, respiratory disease, and so on. And they could not even make it through 1 or 2 weeks. And then, of course, being hit by cars and so on. So I can't express how important spaying and neuter is because it brings down the population as well. The next one, if you'll look at this chart, this shows you how the two cats can multiply over 12,000 within the 2 years. I mean, it's just incredible. A kitten, and they're considered kittens until 12 months old. A kitten that is 4 months old can get pregnant. Cats that go into heat, they can have 2 to 3 litters a year. And then once their kittens are 4 months old or a little older, then they can go into heat and so on and so on. And then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with cats. Yes, absolutely. We've had kittens born in December, January, and you would think it would only be the really warm months, but no, it's practically all year round. Around February, March is when you get into the really thick of kitten season, and then it continues on. Okay, does TNR work? Yes, it works. TNR is the only evidence-based, humane, and effective approach to outdoor cats. Spaying and neutering means fewer kittens born outside and the reduction of behaviors associated with mating, such as yowling, spraying, fighting, and roaming. Vaccinations provided during the TNR also improve the cat's health and address community health concerns. And one of the examples we have, or the only one that we have written on our presentation is, in Washington, D.C., there was a colony of 54 community cats. Through the TNR program, the colony was stabilized and reduced to just 6 cats in 7 years. And through natural attrition, it went to 0. So, and through personal experience, when I lived up in Stafford and Fredericksburg, there was a trailer park that contacted us. I went over and met with the manager and the owner. They had over 100 and some cats there. Kittens were being born just at a very fast pace. So within 4 months, we had TNR'd over 70 some cats. We took out all of the adoptable cats and kittens. And when I left Fredericksburg, there was 26 cats left. And through attrition, because what happens if a new cat comes in that environment, then the caregiver contacts our group and we get that cat spayed or neutered before it can have kittens or, impregnate another cat. Yes, certainly.
Would you describe what a caregiver is?
Yes. A caregiver, and this sounds funny, but a caregiver is a person that
I think I know, but
No, please. I like to have any questions. Okay, when, sometimes you buy a house and unfortunately the owner's left 2 or 3 cats. You don't want those cats to starve to death. So you start feeding them. Okay, so that is a caregiver. She cares for them. She feeds them. If you are a good caregiver, you will make sure you get them spayed or neutered because you don't want a colony of 50 or 60 cats in a couple of months. So that person is responsible for, okay, all the cats are ear tip. Remember the left ear tip. So you have all black cats. All of a sudden, this cat you've never seen before because it doesn't have its ear tip. So she knows or he knows that you better contact the rescue group where they can come out and trap, or they can get you a trap and show you how to use it where you can get that cat scheduled to be fixed. And if the cats are ill, then they're responsible for, getting that cat seen at a vet and, getting it well.
The follow-up question, could this be someone who just finds a litter of cats somewhere and begins to feed them? Doesn't take them into their home, but begins to feed them?
Yes. These are cats that are mainly outside. They are community cats. And we use that term because we used to say feral cats. But now there's so many cats that it's all of our responsibility. That's why networking, your community and everybody helps. It's not one person's problem. It's all of our problem.
Do you mind to repeat that, please?
Which part?
That it's everybody's problem.
It is everybody's problem. It takes dedication of the caregiver. It takes dedication from the rescue group. It also takes support. If people can't, give money, they could give time to be a transporter to help, take these cats. But it's all of our problem. I've had people tell me, "Oh, that's not my cat. I just feed it." Okay, I don't have the money to take care of this, or why should I do this? It ain't my cat. It's not my cat either, but I'm going to help it. So, I think that's one of the things is that we all need to come together and try to, support the TNR effort, or we won't be slammed with cats.
I'll add also.
Yeah.
When we go to be contacted by something with on it, the cats are all after we discussed how important it is, paying the cats and stuff, where we're going to do that. But most of the time, the first try to pinpoint the caregiver is because you don't want to trap, neuter, and release cats back to somewhere where nobody's feeding them, or there's nobody that cares at all what happens to the cats. So we don't want to relocate these cats because it's possible to relocate a feral cat. But most of the time there's somebody that's going to call you and say, "Hey, I'm feeding," or hanging out on my porch or whatever, and it'll take food on, provide food and idea of what they care for you. But getting them fixed, that's 90% of cats. Get a cat fixed, they're pretty much. So just I wanted to point that out. We try to find care, make sure.
And you all do that in the town and county, or just
We
the county?
do that.
Wherever we're needed.
Okay, thank you.
See the numbers here.
Yes.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted
okay,
to
I'm sorry.
add that once you get, and once you get them fixed, once you get them surprised with how healthy, because you just getting them spayed, neuter, vaccine, if it's upper respiratory, and take them, get that addressed with whatever's needed. Then just the welfare of that in that transformation. Not inbreeding.
Yes.
They're not inbreeding. They're not having kittens. Infection. Sickness. Just that initial effort to go in, and I like to promise. They're just, they don't have someone, whether it's us or whether it's that their effort. It's just
Okay, what does not work? Catch and kill. And this is rounding up and just killing the cats. It doesn't work. It's been done over and over, and it causes a vacuum effect. And what this is once those cats are taken out of their area, new cats will move in for their source of food and so on. So it just does not work. And there's many cases on this. And I think we've talked already about the relocation. We do not like to relocate a colony of cats unless it is dangerous, hostile environment there, somebody's shooting or, whatever. But they will try to come back. If you move them, they have that inner desire to get back to their familiar surroundings. And they they have traveled lots of miles to get back. It's very hard to get them to stay. And this is even after acclimating them for 3 to 4 weeks in cages in their new surroundings. So we don't do that. Okay, what else doesn't work? Well, removing the food source. People think if the food source is removed, the cats will mosey on to another location. This is not true. They are creatures of habit. They're used to eating this. This is where they were born. They're familiar with, the housing, the whatever, the farm, wherever they're at. So also, people will most likely, I know you've heard, I know in my trailer park up north before I came down here, one year they told everybody they couldn't feed. But people were actually getting up in the middle of the night and feeding out in the woods and bushes where the cats wouldn't go hungry. So most people care about these animals and know the importance of it to our society. All right, now we'll go over some wonderful figures here. How many cats in the town of Wytheville have we spayed or neutered? And we're only going to go back from 2022, 23, and as far how many thus far that we've done this year. In 2022, we sent 418 cats to be spayed or neutered. 138 were from the town of Wytheville. That's a 33% of our total amount. In 2023, we sent 425 cats, and 97 were from the town of Wytheville, which was 22.8%. Thus far this year, we have sent 309, and 91 are from the town of Wytheville. That's a 29.4%. We work closely with the Wytheville Animal Control to help trap and send as many cats possible to get spayed and neutered. We also work to get cats adopted to good homes. And what we do, if we can't get them locally adopted, then we have rescue groups like Animal Hope Alliance, Lost Fantasy, and some other groups that we work with to try to get them adopted. All right, then I just wanted to go over a couple things. How many cats does the Wytheville Animal Shelter take in? And these numbers are off of the Virginia Department of Agriculture. And this is all rescue groups that are intaking animals, and animal shelters have to do this. This is an annual report. And just for your own reference, you can look at the 2019 and 20 and 21. I mainly want to look at 22. In 2022, the shelter took in 142 total. 5 were reclaimed by their owners, 44 were adopted, which is very good, and 85 were transferred to rescue groups within the state of Virginia. It could be a shelter or another intake facility in Virginia. 85, that's 85 of those were transferred. 2 were euthanized, leaving 6 at the shelter at the end of the year. In 2023, a total of 158 were taken in. 3 were reclaimed by their owners. 56 were adopted, which is phenomenal. That is wonderful. And 80 were transferred to rescues and other facilities within Virginia. 3 were euthanized or died, and leaving 16 cats still in the shelter at the end of the year. So if you think back to the other slide that I had, we had taken in those 2 years, just 2022 and 23, leave off 2024 so far, we have sent 235 cats from the town of Wytheville to be spayed and neutered. Then if you add these, for those 2 years, if you add what the shelter has transferred to other groups which were not spayed and neutered or had to be spayed and neutered prior to going up, was 165. Right there is 400 cats in 2 years that cannot produce, and 165 of them are out of this area. So we like that we both can work together to bring this population down. And I think that's important to see. So
Now, who actually pays when you say there's over, like, 400 total? Who actually takes care of that cost? Does the town or do you all? or
okay.
the
Now,
rescues?
remember the 165 were transferred to from the shelter. So lots of times those receiving facilities will pay for the spay and neuter. Sometimes they want them spayed or neutered prior, and I'm not sure what the animal shelter is doing. However, what we do is if we have caregivers that are able to help with a portion of it, because we're a very small group, and I would hate to add up what the three of us have spent of our own money, but, no, we will not.
Sometime, Mr. Freeman, can you share that number? But just not right now, not tonight, but later on. with the
Well,
council.
it's a good time, though, to mention that in the budget this year, we did get a request from Animal Control to add additional money for spaying. And I think we added 4,500 or 5,000 additional dollars for that.
Yes.
I mean,
this year.
prior to that, because I know I've been trying to work on that as well.
And we'll see if we can pull it from Edmonds through the vendors.
Yeah, just sometime. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, now we're going to get into what do we need from the town council. We thank the town council for the money budgeted for the feral and stray efforts for our organization for this year's budget. We ask that you continue to support our organization and provide monetary support to help control the feral stray cat population in town. We ask that you not give up on humane programs and to allot funds for what people believe in, which is overwhelmingly the non-lethal programs. One of the other things that we think that would be also helpful is the animal shelter is currently open only Monday through Friday, 8 till 2:30, closed for lunch 12 to 1. Saturday and Sunday close. Saturday is a big adoption day. If there was some way that the shelter could be open half a day or, a portion of that day. I worked with shelters, the Stafford County shelter when I was in Stafford, and they're open the whole day, the regular hours during that time, because a lot of adoptions are done during that. People work, they can't get, to the shelter by 2:30 during the day, during the week, because they work. So that's just one of the suggestions that we would like to throw out there.
I think they're working on that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Chief
Oh,
Ash
awesome.
and I have already discussed
Awesome.
that. Right now, we need to make one more hire,
Awesome.
and then that's the plan.
And the other thing is that we ask that the Wytheville Animal Shelter, which is the cat shelter, continue to network CCRN, the community, and other rescue organizations to help save the lives of the cats. It really takes everyone working together to solve this issue. It's so much easier, and this is the mentality years ago, is if they came into the shelter, they didn't leave the shelter. Now, and it could be lack of resources, so on. But now everybody wants to get more involved. The community, the rescue groups, the shelter, everybody wants to try to help the shelter where we don't have that issue. So that's,
And great progress.
oh, absolutely. Way down.
Yeah.
We are actually, the shelter is in the Best Friends Animal Society in 2016 launched a big program called No Kill Nation by 2025. And it doesn't mean that you don't kill at all, but it means that at least 90% of the cats or dogs, whichever shelter you're referring to, come in, 90% of them are saved. And y'all's shelter is above that number. And I mean, that's awesome.
Thank you for saying that.
That is awesome.
I think, as I understand it,
Mhm.
The only ones that have been euthanized were due to significant injuries. They were taken to vets, and it was determined that these were unavoidable,
Absolutely.
not because of overcrowding or just moving.
They work hard. Before I moved to Florida, and I'm back now, but I had in 2021, I was working with the shelter, and then I had an accident, not work with them anymore. But the progress that they made, and the determination to get these cats to rescue groups was phenomenal.
And I will mention that we plan
That's absolutely.
with us.
Yes.
A lot of times. We all have to read an animal. Back. All things old. Past the baby gone. And yes, lady, can you keep feeding these two cats? You know, that there won't be kittens. I was fine with that.
So you all actually went out besides animal control? So you all actually went out and took care of them besides animal control?
Yeah, and I'm speaking.
Yes.
Can you stand up, please, ma'am?
Both of y'all, because I'm having
sorry.
to look over.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, you're
And
fine,
I'm
thank you so
speaking for the
much.
Officer Diamond, we work closely. So rather than a situation, one's out colony of cats and tiny, and they call animal control and remove. So rather than animal control family, trapping these cats, taking them into the shelter. Most of the time, they're going to be feral cats in that situation, sitting in the shelter, scared to death, not adoptable.
That's what I was waiting for.
Exactly. Not adoptable. No one who can will be the care and unfriendly. So rather than him, traumatize cats. So how it was working is he would contact me. I mean, it's multiple situations where this happened.
But would they ever go out with you and assist you all, or you all just go?
Meet, yes, meet, do it. This is the person who is feeding these cats. This is the person that's complaining, and let's see how we can work together. So we have the equipment, we have traps, have access to it, the ability to transport. So go out, trap them, take them, get them spayed and neutered, like Deborah said, work with the wherever the situation is. And this happened, I mean, like multiple. And you're returning these cats, spayed, they're neutered, vaccinated. The person says, yeah, I'll be happy to. Hey, this is and where they live. Nature's going to take care of it eventually. Like they're not going to always be here. They're just not going to continue to. But they're be healthy and they're not going to be. That's really worked. And anytime we situations before.
That's why I was wondering if animal control went with you during that time, because you never know who's going to be hostile.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Anytime
Yes.
we bring back before that, they were always more out with.
Two quick things, and I just want you to help us make the distinction. There's a little bit of a difference in what you all do versus what a Wytheville does.
Yes.
More often than not, you all are taking care of feral cats that will never end up inside a home because they are not suited to be in a home. You
That's
recognize
correct.
it. Wibble is taking cats that are suitable for being inside a home and finding them permanent. So shelters are generally, it's not good for us to take completely feral community
No.
cats and put them in the shelter.
No.
And the second part of that question is, you all know this better than I, I'm sure. We can assist, but we cannot operate the program, correct?
Oh, correct.
State code prevents us. So I just wanted you all to help us make that distinction.
And
The Code of Virginia will allow us to, I don't know if the words assist, support, thank you, support this type of program, but it will not let us operate this program.
and in
But
turn,
right, and that's not me saying I don't want us to
No,
support it.
no,
I
I
just
know
want to
that.
help everybody understand that there are limitations in this type of thing, what we can do, and support is where we can really do
But
something.
what we don't want you to not support
Absolutely.
shelter.
yes, because
Sure.
we need
Turn
them.
supports us. Turn.
And one other thing I wanted to throw in here is that the funds that we get for the town will be for the town. We keep funding separated. If we get money for this, then that goes to that. We don't use it for down the road or whatever. It's strictly and we keep the records on all of it. So,
You all spoke of volunteers. How crucial are volunteers at the cat shelter?
oh, crucial.
All right, thank you.
You're not in.
And this is the three of us. And I've been down in Florida, and Deborah and Laura have been doing this for over a year and something. But yeah, over a year and something without any help from me.
Thank you.
So, and then on this page is just the contact information for Laura and for Deborah. Any other questions?
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much.
Very informative.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you so much for coming. Wait, you know what?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so still under this agenda item, we have discussion by the town council regarding animal welfare. I'll open that up to town council.
ACA officer not come tonight. Okay, go ahead. Let me get down if you want anything. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Any extra, don't know. Y'all did a great presentation. Thank you.
I would like to speak.
So you're doing well, you signed up for Citizens Time, that's what you're doing right now?
I'm Holly Atkins, 940 Fairview Road. I'm here tonight as a citizen to speak on animal welfare. I came to council back in December of 2019, spoke about animal rights welfare. I would have liked to have seen it get better. It has increased, but we do have some flaws. I've spoke numerous times to council people, also to administration. Still have concerns. In May, we had a pretty bad concern that was brought to my attention. Still think we need to do a little bit of work on some things. I asked for the pictures to be in the packet, and they obviously were not put in the packet.
I provided those to every single council
But
member
I asked them to be
several weeks.
but I asked them to be in the
Understood.
packet. Which was legal, from my understanding.
Not
Okay.
disputing that.
When I came on council, I asked for a flyer for animal welfare to be made. It took over 2 years to get a flyer for a council person to ask. I asked about a phone being placed for the volunteers. My concern for the volunteers that were down there that apparently are very much needed at the shelter.
It was a long time before it was placed in there. We talked about it. The mayor went down there, went to go check. Within 2 days, I believe, the phone was installed. I also asked for a catico to be put in, made for the cats so they could be in the shelter, could actually come out and enjoy some fresh air and things like that. It was eventually put in, I believe, but this week. I think from what I was told. But I've asked for that for quite some time. I also spoke about the TNR for a long time, and I appreciate y'all coming to speak. By the way, it means a lot. I don't think people realize how much and critical the volunteers are that go to the cat shelter. They don't get paid. They go and volunteer. Some of them, I know, have had meetings with myself and other people on council. Their concerns are some of the concerns of how the shelter is. I know we have a lot of cats right now. I understand that. But it also, we need to step up and do better. We always looked at Christiansburg, Blacksburg, other counties. Wytheville needs to be one of the best with this. And I've spoken numerous times, and I've begged and I've pleaded for y'all to help. And there has been some improvements. But I think, 5 years is a little bit too long to wait. I think the town of Wytheville majorly lacks in animal welfare priorities. It's the law. We need to help these animals. I'm asking town council, not administration, town council, to make this a priority for our town. Winter's coming up. I've asked for shavings and straw to be delivered. There are shavings apparently I'm aware of down. I don't know how many was delivered this past winter. And I'm sorry, but I am passionate about this. But what is it going to take for the town council to step up? Something bad to be happening on the news, they get infested and things like that with the shelter not being, appropriately cleaned. Death, sickness, apparently it's rampant. It can go quick, take deaths out. I'm asking each of you all to consider doing better. I've had citizens reach out to me. We have awesome equipment in different departments. And like I said, I think we need to step up a little better and do it at the shelter. I've got volunteers worried that they're going to get banned because of stuff that they've brought to administration's attention as well as council. And guess what? A woman reached out to me today. She's banned from the shelter. Well, one. But I don't think, what I do know is that volunteer has spent money, time, taken animal control down to different field trips and things like that to try to help. And I don't understand that at all whatsoever. But anyway, I don't care who's a fan. I don't care who's an animal lover. It's the law that the town of Wytheville should be holding up. I've heard, let the county handle it. Let the county handle it. It is the town's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility. So I'm asking at this time, I think you all need to do something because apparently I can't get it done sitting there. I'm asking you to listen to the citizens, these ladies here who spent hours and hours in their own money. We support other things, and I'm asking to please, you all need to do something.
Holly, I want you to clarify for everybody when you say it's the law for us to take care of the cats.
Well, I'm talking about animal welfare. Animal welfare. I think that we've neglected to do what, and Mr. Freeman said it's not a town responsibility. I understand that. It's not the town's responsibility.
And I'm just referring to it as legal.
Right, a legal responsibility. But you all saw the pictures. That's uncalled for the town of Wytheville.
You understand that there were changes.
I understand that.
Did you say that you sent the pictures out?
Yes, I emailed those pictures a few weeks ago.
But Mr. Freeman, I understand, but I'm asking the town council, not administration, to do better. I'm asking the town council to make changes to do better for the town. Like I said, we've got the best equipment. We have awesome facilities. We do everything. We need to do something to support the animals that don't have a voice. I know it's minor to some, but when you see them out here freezing, it's a little sick. When you see in the pictures they're starved, that's a little sick. That's all I have to say.
Just a couple,
Thank you,
if I may,
Holly.
Mayor Taylor, just a couple of, I just want to celebrate a couple of things here. Since 2021, the budget for animal control has increased from $72,468 to this year, $120,884. That's an 81% increase since 2021. Those are facts. We started out with having one ACO. In the history of the town of Wytheville, we've never had more than one ACO. Since I've taken over, we've got two. We've got four now. We've got a fifth right now, and we're about to have six. That's a 600% increase.
And how long has it taken to get that, Mr. Freeman?
Ms.
A long
Atkins,
time. A long time.
You're correct.
Okay.
But we need to celebrate the things that
Oh, and I
have
said
happened.
there's been
So
some
this is
changes.
just
There
going
has
to be a
been some,
celebration.
there has been some great
With the
changes.
help of these ladies and the other volunteers who are critical to the shelter, the euthanasia rate due to not being able to assist these cats has gone to nothing. It went from, I think your number said 60 or 70 a year to zero. The only ones that have been euthanized had critical injuries, disease. I think a couple of them ended up coming in that were so feral they were biting and scratching, and they maybe one that was the situation. You all probably know better than I do. So there have been significant changes, a 600% increase in the number of trained animal control officers within the PD.
But Mr. Freeman, wait a minute. Excuse me, but how long have I tried to work on that? For 5 years. It's just coming to fruition. I mean, really.
Exactly. It is coming to fruition, and that's my point. These things are coming to fruition. A $56,000 increase since 2021 in expenditures in animal control, a 600% increase in trained animal control officers. These are a zero euthanasia rate. These are things to be celebrated. And you helped with that.
I understand.
And you deserve a lot of credit for pushing these initiatives. You do.
I don't want credit. I would like better. And it's getting better. It's getting better, but I don't want to see it go backwards.
And we're not. These are things, like you said, that are coming to fruition now. The fruits of what we're doing, we're about to take off, is the way I see it. And I understand that some of these things have been challenging and frustrating.
I'm sorry, but yes, there have been.
I understand it.
And I'm not trying to laugh, but I mean, I've tried to get something since 2019. And when you're told, who do I think I am coming to speak to council?
But none of these.
Well, some of them were on, yes, some of them were on council at the time. It's just, it just needs to be brought to light. Sure.
Absolutely.
Is there any future plans to have a larger cat shelter?
That's not been something we've really understood, Ms. Atkins.
I've asked other council people as well. Yes. And
I just want, I just thought I would ask.
Well, I think the county, I'm sorry, go ahead. I mean, the county's been talking, their council's been talking for quite some time. They're trying to find land for the dog shelter, but there's been dialogue on the street and whatnot amongst other people that, it would be nice if we could have, if they do find a piece of property that we could have both shelters.
Meaning we could take over the space they currently occupy as well.
Well, we've also talked, there's some land that the town has that
But I just
maybe
wanted
could
to
be talked about
Sure.
for the county. I mean,
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So you said there has been dialogue between the town and the county?
I wouldn't say between the town and the county.
Okay.
But the county itself, they've been looking and whatnot, looking for another piece of property for the dog shelter. There's been dialogue between citizens and themselves that it would be nice that they, if the area was big enough to have both of them in the same, just like they're both in, that may never happen. But no, I didn't say, if I did, I didn't mean that there has not been any dialogue between the two entities about that.
and I know Mayor Taylor and I, we've had dialogue. Vice Mayor said we've had dialogue, and we've had dialogue.
So what I propose at some point that we have some dialogue with the county. Maybe we can come up with a combined animal shelter for cats and dogs. Um, I think it would be worth sitting down and having a meeting with individuals of the Board of Supervisors to see if that would be something they would be interested in doing, so that it is provided not just for the town, not just for the county, but with County Wytheville as a whole. So, I mean, we are considered, I guess we pay county taxes, so we would need to sit down and see if they could have some dialogue to where we can possibly come up with a facility that benefits both town and county.
I've actually talked a little bit about that, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
They have something like. They don't currently take cats.
Okay. I was thinking on a combined shelter to work together,
I'd like to see a
both town
combined
and
shelter.
county. Can I finish,
Yeah.
please?
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. But I would like to see a combined shelter. I don't know how you would work it out or how it would work according to the law. But if we could all work together as a whole, I believe in networking and trying to work together to come up with a solution to problems. Okay.
So that would be
Where we have one big facility. So that's just my suggestion. That's just my suggestion. And yeah, so that would be my suggestion.
where there aren't.
And one more thing, the pictures that Mr. Freeman shared should not have happened in the town of Wytheville. I'll just make note of that.
I
Should not.
agree.
Should not.
I agree 100%.
Thank you.
I need to go check my
Thank you.
email.
But it
I don't
happened.
recall seeing it.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was, I think, some really good dialogue and a good presentation, and I really appreciate y'all coming in with that. I appreciate Ms. Atkins, once again, sharing her concerns with everybody. So, and as Mr. Freeman said, we have made some big strides moving forward, and we want to continue on that path.
Can we continue on that path?
That's what we just said. We hope to continue on that path. Ms. Johnson's ideas of trying to get in with the county. So I think we have some things to work on, and
Actually, Mayor Taylor, I've had that idea for a long time, but I can't get any support from council members. I've had that discussion with you. I've had it with the vice mayor. I have. Have I not before?
yes.
So how do we get that in motion? How do you need to try to meet with the county? Does Mr. Freeman, does Chief Hash, does myself? How do we get the talking going? Besides 5 years down the road.
Well, I think that administration would need to make that contact and ask them how they would like to.
I'd be happy to. If that's the will of the council, I'd be happy to do it.
Is that the will of the council? Do we need to take a roll call vote?
I have no issue with it whatsoever.
I mean,
So it's a consensus of council that they would like Mr. Freeman to reach out to the county to see if there can be some dialogue between the two of us. Is that the consensus of council? Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, there's no one else signed up for citizens period, but I do think we still have a presentation to make. Okay, great. Let me find my proclamation.
Yeah.
No, she showed up. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Really? Are you gonna test that thing out?
That's a low speed rocking chair right there.
We're gonna face down. Proclamation to you. Whereas, town council. And whereas, Timothy, purchase recommendation. And I was voted. Three. Voted to operate two. Leader. Whereas Timothy served for 30 years. As Timothy worked on his. Whereas the council, through this proclamation. Therefore, Timothy R. Did further for council. You want to test it out and see if it works? Get a picture. And then get a picture again. Can I get one of you? Thank you for your service. Your plaque, all right. There you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much. You don't necessarily have to write this.
That's beautiful.
That's all. That's right.
Can you maybe get the picture with the seal on the back? That'll be a nice picture for him to have.
With the biggest chair.
Thank you. I think that would be nice.
Yeah, instead of a. Yeah. Instead of a hall. There you go, smile about, right? One more, one.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen.
Thank you for your participation.
Oh, well, we're glad you made it.
25 years, you get a walking chair.
Everywhere. All right, to moving forward, we are on new business. Oh, he's outside. You're on, Mr. Freeman, if you have any new business.
Mayor Taylor, I don't have any prepared new business. It's not. I did want to just share with you that I went out today and stood on the bridge. I don't know if I can do this actually, with the PD, our fire and rescue folks, as they honored the procession that was bringing back a law enforcement officer that was killed last Friday. And very moving experience, very humbling, and puts a lot into perspective. So just think about our folks every day, and thank them. That's all I have.
Moving forward, reports, upcoming meetings by Town Clerk Sherry Corvin.
Just a few, Mayor. The New River Regional Water Authority will meet on Thursday, August the 15th at 10 a.m. at the water plant in Austinville. The Downtown Wytheville Incorporated Board will meet on Monday, August 19th at 5:30 at the Downtown Wytheville office. The Wytheville Redevelopment and Housing Authority will meet on Wednesday, August 21st at 12 p.m. at the Housing Authority office. The Joint Industrial Development Authority of Wythe County will meet on Thursday, August 22nd at 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. And the next regular scheduled meeting of the Wytheville Town Council will be held on Monday, August 26th at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Other business, the review of vacancies and upcoming vacancies of the town committees. Would you do that for me, please?
As you can see, you have a listing in your packet, if I can find them here. You have a listing in your packet of all the either vacancies or upcoming vacancies on the town committees, and the ones highlighted in yellow are the ones that are immediate, are of immediate need. But there are several more upcoming later on in the year. But we have one now on the Board of Zoning Appeals, 2 youth members on the Recreation Commission. We will have next time you'll see another vacancy on the Wytheville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and we have one on the Wytheville Tree Committee. So if you know anybody that would like to apply, if you would please ask them to apply on the town website under the OpenGov portal. And that's all I have on that. Thank you.
Council member time. Vice Mayor,
Nothing at this time.
and I'll pass. Ms. Atkins.
I did have a complaint about at the rec center, the walking track. Apparently as you, I guess, do the walking track, it apparently is very, very hot for little ones and also elderly adults. I didn't know if they're having air conditioner issues on that or not, if that could be checked on. And bike racks, any information on bike racks?
Don't, not tonight. I know that we're looking at them, and we'll bring you back the cost of that.
And that should be it.
Councilwoman Johnson.
Yes, I have. I'd like to just make a couple of clarifications in regards to the splash pad conversation. I think one of the highest figure that was given out was $2.5 million. After checking with other localities, they've not paid nowhere close to that. Some of them have paid $300,000. Some of them have. If you want a playground, like the one in Hillsville, I think that ended up coming close to $500,000. So if the company, I think that was mentioned, is going to charge excessively, I think that we need to open it up to people who specialize in splash pads. We don't have to use the same person. We can open it for bid and be fair about it.
Ms. Johnson, it would be a bid item.
Okay. 250, right? Needs to be opened up for bids, and let other companies, put their bids in for that. Also, I need to know if the rain checks have been created for the citizens, if they have to leave the pool after they paid to get in and it's lightning. Haven't heard anything back on that. I know that council also was asked to serve on the splash pad committee, and I think a survey was sent out to come up with times. Well, as a council member, I do work, and I'm sure the other people, they have children, and they may have children in school. So during the day is just not a good time in the middle of the day to meet for me. And I don't know about the parents. I know that some of them may do homeschool. I'm not exactly sure, but that's something that needs to be looked at as far as the time goes. Like I said, I would like to serve on that committee. I don't know if you would like to serve as well, because I think you had mentioned it, but I would like for it to be a time that is convenient for us as well as the citizens who want to be involved.
And I think the last dialogue, and I did say if nobody else from council wanted to be on it, I would love to be on it. But I'll give the opportunity to others first.
Okay.
And that because of everybody's schedule, it is difficult for him to find the right time. And he was going to send out one of those poll things, how many people could do this time, so that we can get something that works for everybody.
I received that. Well, anyway. Also, I would like to know when I'll receive the printed report that I requested for the overall number of people who used the rec center on the 13 holidays that was requested to be taken off. I think we still need to review that. I haven't gotten anything. And
I can provide an update on that. So since our last meeting, Mr. Sheretz has withdrawn that request to council. So if you still want to report, you can have it, but he just felt like it was going to be too big of a battle to request those times off.
Why would it be too big of a battle? All we asked for was the request of the reprinted report. We just wanted to see the numbers. So
if you still want to see the printed report, he can provide that to you, but he doesn't, he's no longer.
I would like that, please.
Okay, certainly.
Why would it be?
It's going to be quite
So in order
large.
for me to get that report, does it have to be the whole town council?
We'll provide everybody with the report.
Battle was used. Can you explain that, please?
I mean, I think he felt like there was a perception.
We don't go off of feelings, and there was no perception. We just asked for something. So I don't like the term battle being used.
Okay, I apologize if I used that word unfairly. I do apologize, but I think he felt that it was not something that this council may want to do, and so it wasn't, I guess, a valuable topic to bring back for conversation. So it wasn't anything personal. It's just.
We just asked for data.
Okay. Well, we'll provide the data, and if you want to put it on the agenda, you can put it on a future agenda. How does that sound? That sound good to everybody? Okay. Thank you.
Again, Ms. Johnson, refresh my memory. I was not here for that meeting. So what was your request?
So I requested a report, a generated report, to show the number of constituents that use the recreation center on the 13 holidays that they requested to be closed. And that was all that was asked in that situation. They were asking to close the center, but before we jump up and make a decision to close the center, I wanted to see the data of the number of constituents that use the center. And I asked for a printed report, a generated report, not someone typing in numbers to email them to someone, but an actual generated report. And I haven't heard anything else other than from tonight.
So going forward, I would like to have those numbers.
Now, if I do have a question. Do you have any more? Just on that, I know I sent an email of 2 concerns that I had, and then the council got a rest of the, I guess, the questions and the answers. Are you going to do that for every time a council person sends a request? Is that how it will be done now? Is that how we're doing? Well, I mean, I just didn't know, Ms. Holton. I mean, I think that's a good idea. that, you know, that I guess we're all on the same page.
I think it's a good idea.
I do too. If someone brings forth something and a question, it needs to be shared. I think that's great.
I do have one more thing. Do we have any kind of T-ball or anything for preschoolers? I know that the county has something for them that is
There's a
awesome.
T-ball field that they use.
No, what I'm asking is, do we have a T-ball program for our preschoolers? The county has,
preschool.
they have, from my understanding, they have something for preschoolers. And I would like to offer that if we do not, so that people don't have to travel to take their kids into the county.
Anything else? Before council. All right, so now council finds it needed to go into a closed meeting pursuant to 2.2-3711A1 discussion regarding performance appraisals and salaries for appointed employees and discussion regarding a pending vacancy of an appointed position. This requires a motion and a vote. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion to go to closed session as spoken. Do I have a second?
Did you say a second?
Yes. Second. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, we will now recess for 5 minutes and then we will go into a closed session. We're in. All right, council now finds it necessary, after a closed meeting, it is necessary to reconvene into open session by stating that the town council is now in open session. A motion is necessary to certify that only matters lawfully convening the open session were discussed. I need a motion.
I so moved.
I have a motion. Need a second.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, this will be a roll call vote. Ms. Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Edison, aye.
All right, we are now back in open session. Do we have any other business?
Mayor Taylor, I would like to make a motion to give the town clerk a $10,000 performance raise effective immediately.
All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? I hear none. A roll call vote. Vice Mayor?
Edison, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right, so the ayes have it. I would also like to set before we get out of tonight's meeting, set a special council meeting for August 22nd at 7:30 p.m. for council for interview for treasurer position.
7:30 p.m.
I said p.m.
No, I'm sorry, Mayor Taylor.
All right, so everybody agreed that I said what we're supposed to do. Anything else to come before council this evening? No, we are done.